Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Thursday edition of the program. It's Pod Up Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Appreciate you guys along for the ride today. Trying to get my computer working here. We got Brent Beard. If you missed it last night, Gators fall in their first SEC basketball game. Had to lead at halftime against a really good Alabama team, but too many turnovers, getting beat on the glass. Pretty much summed up the night. So now they have a tough stretch ahead. Heck, they may not win any of these games. They're playing some really good basketball teams, but it was an entertaining game, especially in the first half. But let's go ahead and switch gears and go to the Titan MR hotline. And we're going to be joined by our college football analyst and Heisman Trophy voter, Brent Beard. Good morning, Brent. How are you?
Shane, good morning. Doing well. Excited about Monday night, but there are plenty of things going on kind of in the horizon that we see with a lot of the numbers coming in. We've got the bowls are done. We've got a playoff meeting coming up this weekend, and we still got folks and coaches and players going to and fro.
Yeah, I don't really know where to start today, Brent, but let's do this because we're going to have a ton of Facebook Live questions and comments for you. But let's talk right now. The news that we do know next year. Let us know where the college football playoffs, the semifinals, and the final game are going to be held.
Yeah, we're peeking ahead a little bit. Next year, the semifinals, unfortunately, or again on New Year's Eve. One is at the Fiesta Bowl and the other one's at the Peach Bowl. Now, what people may not have heard is the national championship game, in someone's infinite wisdom, is in L.A. at SoFi Stadium on January the 9th. This year it's on January the 10th. In 2 years, it will be in Houston. So, and we've got the national championship game this year that obviously is going to be in Indianapolis. By the way, anyone listening who is going, the temperature at game time outside the stadium will be 5 degrees. 5.
Yeah, so then, I don't see many Georgia Bulldogs and Bama fans tailgating as you would see at Lambeau Field. They don't have that experience.
No. And Tuesday morning, as you're heading to the airport, it's going to be between the 0 and -5. So keep that in mind. Now, again, college football and its infinite wisdom sometimes are really slow to learn. We had the semifinals again on New Year's Eve last weekend, so or weekend before last. So that means that obviously the numbers were down. Well, we won't go in all the numbers, but they were they were not good. I mean, they were good, but they certainly were not as good as they are when you got the semifinals on New Year's Day or on another date. So we've got one more, Shane, next year of the semifinals being on New Year's Eve, and which, by the way, will be a Saturday, which that might help some. But again, we really need to get these games off of New Year's Eve and trying to find a way to put them on New Year's Day.
And is it the reasoning? It's all because of the Rose Bowl, correct?
Of course it is. Absolutely, It is. Yes.
Now, let me ask you this, because we've had people throughout the course of this show ask, why do they play the championship game on a Monday night, Brent? Why not play it this coming Saturday? where people can actually watch the entire game and don't have to go to work the next day, because these games don't end sometimes till 11:30 midnight.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And you remember they had the last Georgia-Alabama game. Obviously, went longer. So because of that, you're right. It sometimes is past midnight. If you're trying to grow your sport, and a lot of sports need to pay attention to this, you don't need to have, and college basketball is the worst. College basketball will have their national championship game on a Monday night and started at 9:22. Mm-hmm. So the reason they do that, and it's an outdated reason now, is because of television. The thought, and this came about probably 30 years ago, that Monday night is the best night. If you want to highlight something that everybody, for whatever reason, is home on Monday night. I'm not necessarily sure that is true, but look, the thing you said is what needs to happen. The national championship game needs to be, frankly, instead of next Monday night, it should be Saturday night. Yep. For people traveling and for people to be up and to watch it. My goodness, can you imagine in the middle of January when nothing's really going on, frankly, what the Saturday night ratings would be for that too?
Yeah, it would be great. Turn your car or truck into a rolling billboard for your business or brand with an eye-catching vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot this January. Mention promo code Shane, receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. Speaking with Brent Beard on the Titan and More hotline. All right, Brent, the gurus of college football are going to be meeting this week, or already started, I can't remember, about the whole playoff expansion. What are you hearing about that?
They're meeting on Saturday. They always meet before the national championship game, and this will obviously be the commissioners and others. I'm sure there are probably television people who are there. We're still trying to get these folks to come together and to decide on expanding the playoffs. They want to expand the playoffs. Will it be 8? Will it be 12? There are more people in the room who want 12. The real problem here is whether there should be automatic qualifiers for the Power 5 champions in the highest group of 5 conference champion. So that's what they're trying to get together and figure out. Now, something to keep in mind, when we were awarded a 14 playoff was shortly after Alabama and LSU played in 2011. The powers to be decided they didn't want to see the SEC and the championship game over and over again, so we better do something here and expand it to 4. I will be very curious, Shane, if after during these meetings or shortly thereafter, if some of that sentiment is not still going on, that if we expand it, will that take care of it? Now, look, I think you and I both know if they expand it to 12 teams, probably you're still going to get Alabama and Georgia playing for the national championship, but it does so many other good things for college football. It's something they need to go ahead and do. I don't know if they're going to make any progress on Saturday. My concern here is they're running out of time in order to get it started before 2025 and 2026 when all the contracts come open.
Yeah. I guess the Mountain West had the best bowl record. Not that that means anything, but what's surprising is the Pac-12, it's been several years since they've won a bowl game, Brent.
Yeah, it's really unbelievable, frankly. The Pac-12 finished 0-5 in bowl games. It has not won a bowl game since 2019. Now, look, if you're the Pac-12 and you're in this meeting coming up on Saturday, you should be the first one in the room and the last one to leave in order to convince people. And they know right now the only way that they're going to be able to get into playoffs is if they expand. So the Pac-12 is one of these conferences that really should be up and going, and really excited about that. And again, for our listeners here, another Pac-12 note is Utah. As we mentioned this several times, that was in the Rose Bowl, and that was a great Rose Bowl game, wasn't it, Shane? Give Ohio State credit for coming back, but do not forget that Utah begins next season in the swamp playing Florida, and I can tell you this offseason in the weight room is extremely important for Florida because Utah will be one of the most physical teams. They will play the entire season. We've got a lot of time to talk about that, but just wanted to remind our listeners that Utah is coming to town.
Yes, they are. Brent, we got a couple of Facebook Lives here brought to you by Melton Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. It's from Joseph and John. They were talking about the article that came out, Texas A&M. I'm not sure if you saw it, Brent, but they spent between $25 and $30 million on their top recruits this year in the recruiting class. And if a lot of our listeners are not familiar with this, basically what the article said that the coaching staff, the coaches, again, so people understand, NIL coaches cannot go say, okay, restaurant X is going to get, when they walk into a kid's house, they can't say, hey, we got a deal for you at this car dealership for $200,000. Coaches cannot do that. What the coaches did at A&M, they said, okay, here are the top 15 players we're targeting. The boosters then put together LLCs, threw money in these LLCs, and went to each one of those players and no telling how much money these kids are getting. Are you familiar with this whole situation going on at A&M, Brent?
Well, they did get the number one class, and that certainly was a big deal yesterday on Twitter. See, the other thing going on with something similar with that, and you probably heard this a few weeks ago, and at Texas, they are looking at giving everyone on the offensive line at Texas $50,000 a piece. Mm-hmm. So, what will then induce people to come to Texas and be an offensive lineman? Look, this is a really good example of the NIL without any limitations on it, and what eventually is going to have to happen. And a lot of people think this stuff's going to settle down at some point. I'm not sure about that, but yes, that what was a really lively discussion yesterday on Twitter.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. So there's an article out there if any of our listeners want to go read it. But A&M reportedly spent close to $30 million basically on those 15 top players that they got right in their signing class. And then I also saw on Twitter where I think it was, I don't know, like I said, you can't actually go and say, this is what we'll give you. It's got to all still be behind closed doors, so to speak.
Right.
But I saw where Eastern Michigan put a tweet out. They were going to pay somebody $1 million to come play on their defense. And then Virginia had some deal. That is illegal. You cannot do that. So there's still a lot of rules and regulations being broken, but it is phenomenal or just crazy the amount of money. And that's what I'm saying. They got to cap this.
Yes.
They've got to cap it.
And see, the NCAA, I'll say this real quick. The NCAA actually has admitted, Mark Emmert did in one of his latest press conferences, that the NCAA is actually investigating a certain amount of schools for the abuse in the name, image, and likeness. Now, again, with all the problems the NCAA has at this point, Shane, are they going to be able to police any of these schools, what kind of punishment do they think they're going to give out at this point when they have very little or no power?
Yeah, it's. I had a heated discussion with JC yesterday about how I just think this is ruining college sports. I have no problem with the kids getting, a car deal, free food at this place, promoting a few businesses. But when you start bidding wars with no salary cap, like what's going to happen with Caleb Williams, I just think it's going to just destroy the sport. It's terrible in my opinion. So a few news and notes before we jump back into Alabama, Georgia. It was on Twitter yesterday, and we had a lot of people ask here. We got some questions for you, Brent. There's word that Emory Jones has been to team meetings, is in class. That tells me he is not transferring. What are you hearing?
Same thing. That he's already enrolled in spring semester. So I would be curious. We don't know this yet. The conversations that he's had with the coaching staff. What that probably also tells us that he has had minimal interest from other schools. Mm-hmm. So I think it's probably a combination of all the above.
Yeah, and I think that last statement you said, and I've said it many times, and whether Emory ever plays another snap at quarterback here or not, he's going to graduate or try to graduate from the University of Florida, it sounds like, because I don't think people realize once you go in that transfer portal, you just gave up your entire scholarship. And there's no guarantee that anybody else is going to give you a free ride in school. So, because there's so many kids sitting there. Also, Trey Dean has announced that he is coming back. Yes. A lot of people, what are you hearing about Kyer Elam? Some people say that there's a possibility that he comes back. You heard anything on that?
Nothing more than just kind of rumors about that too. So nothing official there. But yes, the Trey Dean information came out late last night.
Yep. And then I know a lot of people today have already put on Facebook Live here, brought to you by Mental Law, about the Gator football players tweeting and showing pictures of them eating. And already Billy Napier has changed the food that these kids eat. A lot of kids were saying they were now eating real chicken. I'm not sure what other kind of chicken they were eating. But also, he's taking care of the parking situation for the football players. So food and parking, he's already in a couple of weeks has gotten that all straightened out, which have been a serious issue.
Let me just say this real quick. There are little details that people don't realize behind the scenes that make a difference, and that may seem like silly things, but these things add up. And the thing with Napier is, as we've talked before, Napier is a disciple of Nick Saban. And there is no stone unturned at Alabama. And that's the way it's going to be here at Florida. It's going to be slow, but it's going to happen. And you're going to see a transformation of this program. And I'm not saying they were doing all the wrong things before, but what I'm saying is you're going to see a transformation of this program that you never dreamed of when we're talking about this a year from now.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the simple things, the correct type of food, quality food, and parking.
Yes.
I've been bitching about the parking since I played.
Sure.
That's 30-something years ago. The food, I know the food wasn't up to par because I had a kid on the team for 2 years. And so anyway, but yeah, you're exactly right. Billy, the little things that people are not aware of out there, he's going to get them on the same playing level as the two teams playing Monday night. It's that simple. That doesn't mean we're going to win a championship right away, but I'll be damned, we're going to be in the ball game with them.
Yes.
So let's start there. Alabama coming off their win against Cincinnati. Just give me your thoughts. Do you think Alabama played really well against Cincinnati?
I think they took what Cincinnati gave them. Cincinnati runs a 3-3-5 like Ole Miss does, and you can explain the details of that better than anybody. But they were able to run the ball for 300 yards. And Shane, I don't care how advanced we think we are in football. When you can run for 200 and 300 yards, you're likely going to win because you're controlling the game and you're controlling the clock. And Cincinnati deserves credit. They made Bryce Young uncomfortable, and he was not able to throw the ball with given time that he wanted, and they deserve credit for that because they've got as good a secondary as anybody in the nation. But at the same time, their defense is improving virtually by every game. And this team overall, since the second half of the Auburn game, this has been a different football team. And it certainly showed against Georgia, certainly showed against Cincinnati. So they've made marked improvement. And I think what's different is they played well, Shane. They just did it in a different way. Instead of throwing for 400 yards, they basically ran for 300, and that was a lot of the difference.
Yes, and as you said, Joe Pendry, Doug Marrone, all these guys that have been around the block, saving for many, many years, they knew that Cincinnati could not hold up to their running game, especially they were playing the 3-3 stack. Now, the one thing that came out of this game, and I've noted it, is I thought the twists, the games, the stunts that Cincinnati did against the Alabama offense in passing situations gave the O-line fits. And as you mentioned it, Bryce Young did not look comfortable in the pocket at all. And I didn't think John Mechie would hurt them as much as what I saw. So we'll see. We'll see what Kirby, if they make any tweaks from watching that Cincinnati game for passing situations or not. But, they ran the ball. Brian Robinson was outstanding, and it'll be interesting to see. I saw a stat that you sent me, Brent, and I don't have it in front of me, but everybody talks about how dominating Georgia's defense has been against top-notch teams. But actually, Alabama's has been better, right?
Coach Kubalik was a guy who came up with this, and the stat basically is Alabama's defense has on paper, has a better rush defense, third down defense. They have more sacks, more tackles for loss, and more interceptions. So, and Alabama's faced the top 30 offenses. Georgia's faced 5 of them. Alabama's faced 7. So, and again, we're splitting hairs here. They're both good defenses. Georgia still, I think, has got the best defense in the nation, but this Alabama defense, frankly, has improved a lot. A lot of it is because Will Anderson is unblockable. He's got 34 tackles for loss and 17 sacks, which is unbelievable. So when people are concentrating on him, that allows some of these other guys like Dallas Turner, who's a freshman linebacker, to kind of roam free and make his presence known. And also, Fedarian Mathis has become a real force in the middle. And Bama kind of does this. By the end of the year, they develop one of these guys on the defensive line who makes a real difference. And that's kind of what we're seeing here. So, but again, safe to say, you've got 2 of the best defenses in the nation facing each other on Monday night.
On Facebook Live, brought to you by Mental Law, John says, Matt Stinchcomb was on Feinbaum yesterday. He said Georgia was better across the board, position by position. Has Stinch seen Young or Anderson play? Now, he's a Georgia guy, but he's supposed to take off his red helmet when he talks about these things. Look, these 2 teams have such good players across the board. What's amazing to me is how Will Anderson is overlooked by Aiden Hutchinson from Michigan.
Yes,
that just blows my mind. They're not even in the same ballpark, in my opinion, Brent.
No, well, and a lot of people looked at the stats for the Heisman Trophy. Hutchinson obviously was involved in the Heisman Trophy race. Now, Will Anderson was 5th, but they only took 4 people to New York. And when you compared Hutchinson from Michigan against Anderson from Alabama, in every stat, Will Anderson doubled Hutchinson. So that's the reason people have brought this up a good bit. Anderson is just a freak of an athlete, and goes full bore at the quarterback. One of the better linebackers Alabama's had in a while. Now, to what you're saying too, on defense, guys like Nolan Smith and Nakobe Dean and Devontae Wyatt, those guys are really good players. In the SEC championship game, they really did not make their presence known like they're capable of doing. That's what could make the difference Monday night, is if those guys play up to what they're capable of doing, particularly Nolan Smith and Nakobe Dean, who everybody wanted those guys, Alabama included. So and Alabama's offensive line was able to keep them at bay in the SEC championship game. Will they be able to do the same thing Monday night?
Yeah. Got a text on the Titan Mark text line from Darius. Says, good morning, guys. I think the players need to sign a contract to keep them from jumping in and out of the transfer portal. Yeah, they're going to have to address something, Daryl. I'm not sure what the correct answer is, but it's a mess. Brent, so when you look at this game Monday night, I know I've already picked Georgia to win it. I just think Georgia's going to make some tweaks on defense. Then they're not going to allow Bryce Young to throw it over their heads like they did in the Georgia Dome. And I think they can learn from that tape. And I know it's hard to beat two quality teams. It's hard to beat that other team the second time. Right. We'll see. How you see it playing out Monday night?
I think that Stetson Bennett will go the whole way. He's 13-3. They're still talking about, well, you can bring JT Daniels out of the bullpen type stuff.
I don't understand it.
I don't either. Do you, Shane?
No, I've been on the Stetson Bennett. I don't want to say bandwagon, but I think people forget he had go back not this year, but the following year when Florida upset Georgia. People forget the game. He threw 2 touchdowns. It was 14-0 Georgia. Yep. And he takes a shot on a blitz that they drive him into his throwing shoulder, and he was never the same. And I can't remember if they took him out in that game or what. The dude can play. And I think too many people that don't understand quarterback play worry about the measurables way too much. There are so many damn guys playing on Saturdays that have the measurables that should not be playing, is my point.
Yeah.
And this kid, right. The team loves him. The team believes in him. And quite honestly, he played pretty damn good against Georgia against Alabama the first go around. He threw a pick 6, and then he threw another interception where his tight end stopped on the route. But he went up and down the field against Alabama. I do not understand why these people keep preaching for JT Daniels. Blows my mind.
Well, in the first half of the Michigan game, he was 16 of 21 for 234.
Yeah.
Now, he distributed the ball to 9 different receivers. So, look, what you're saying is this. JT Daniels is your quarterback prototype from California. He looks the part, but here's the difference, folks. Bennett has made the starts, except for Alabama. He's undefeated this year. He's 13-3 overall, and the coaches trust him. Shane and I have talked about this for a long time. That's the difference in Bennett. He checks out of a bad play into a good play. And he really, frankly, has improved to the point where he really is a solid quarterback at this point, too. But again, Georgia's goals, they've got to make Bryce Young uncomfortable. They still have weaknesses in the secondary that you can't cover those up. And I'll be interested to see how they tweak those. As Shane mentioned, they've got the psychological advantages, but Alabama's offensive line is getting better. The defense is getting better. Brian Robinson is healthy. I think Bama's advantages, they've got the better quarterback, and I do think they've got the better coach. So
yeah, speaking of coaches, we got a Facebook Live here question for both of us, Brent. I want to get your thoughts on it. It comes from, let's see here, John. He says, Shane, is there anything to the statement, quote, coaching scared? If there is, I believe that is how the Georgia staff will be feeling. I mean, I don't know if they're coach. I know what he's trying to say here. We know Kirby made some mistakes coaching against Saban was a couple years ago when they did the fake punt and then they lost on the last play of the game. But I do believe coaches learn And I believe Georgia is not concerned. They're not scared of Alabama, and I think they're going to go in there swinging. And that's why I'm picking Georgia. I think it's their time. Coach Spurrier and I do a podcast together. He picked Georgia to win as well. He thinks it's their time, and it's hard to beat that team twice. So, anything to coaching scare for you, Brent?
I mean, when you've lost a team 7 straight times, there is a tendency of people to say and I've heard this, is Saban in Kirby Smart's head. I think, frankly, you get more of that during game planning. I think when you get in the game, you're not thinking about things of that nature because you're just doing your job at that point. I mean, right now, Kirby's learning, and he'll be fine, and eventually he will break through. I mean, look, is Kirby Smart Nick Saban yet? No, because there's a great discrepancy in experience and age. Nick Saban at 70 has done things that we'll probably never see again as far as a head coach is concerned. So, but I mean, does that? But I'll say this: when you're deep in the fourth quarter, will it be going through Kirby's head if it's a close game that they've lost 7 in a row and he just can't win the game? I don't think it does. Frankly, I think these guys are just too involved in what we call in the right play and deciding what to do next.
Yep. Tommy says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law, can't cherry pick restrictions on the NIL. Essentially, it changes status for players from a restricted amateur to a full-blown unrestricted capitalist. Anything may happen. We will see unbelievable financial incentives for top recruits. This is the death of college football as we have known it. I think it's ruining the sport. They got to do something about it. That's just my opinion. Yeah. All right, Brent, before we let you go, any good nuggets?
Well, they're a bunch as far as guys who are coming and going at this point. Great bowl win for Arkansas. I give them a lot of credit with that. That they're set up for, I think, a really, really bright future. Auburn, by the way, they've got a lot of guys who are coming and going. Shedrick Jackson, the wide receiver, is coming back for a 5th season. Owen Pappoe, the linebacker, is coming back. Kobe Hudson, their leading receiver, is going into the portal. If folks haven't heard that, great win by Kentucky. This was one of the higher-rated bowls of all. Was Kentucky beating Iowa? A 10-win season is quite impressive, to say the least. Kentucky, between 1915 and 2017, had 2 10-win seasons. Between 2018 and 2021, they've had 2. So what Mark Stoops has done in a short period of time, to me, is still amazing. And I know you commented on this probably, but I give LSU a lot of credit for playing a bowl game with 39 players, where a lot of teams should have done the same thing. LSU had their first losing season this year since 1999.
Wow.
Think about that for just a minute, too. So, but that's just amazing. Makai Polk at Mississippi State, the wide receiver, is declared for the draft. Aaron Odom, Mississippi State defensive lineman, has entered the transfer portal. So, and then with Charlie Weiss Jr., by the way, is heading to Ole Miss. So that will be interesting. Jeff Lebby, we know, has gone to Oklahoma. So, and look, I've got about 20 minutes worth of other notes, but I know we're short on time, so that's a few of them. How about that?
Yeah, DJ Durkin's leaving. Ole Miss has lost both their offense and defensive coordinator.
They have. They sure have. That's right.
Yep. So it'll be interesting to see. He's replaced his OC with, as you said, Charlie Weiss Jr. We'll see who replaces and gets for DJ Durkin leaving to go to A&M. Brent, great stuff as always, buddy. We appreciate you taking the time. Have a good day, and we'll talk to you next week.
Can't wait, bud. Thank you.
That's Brent Beard. Join us on the Titan MR hotline. You can follow Brent on Twitter at Brent Beard. We're going to take our first time out, come back. We got a million Facebook Live and text to get to here. Keep shooting them our way. You're watching and listening to Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips, it's gonna be great. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co. Some of our touchdown sponsors are MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avera and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit podupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Are you tired of being sidelined by nagging pain? Hi, I'm Emmitt Smith, Hall of Famer and Dance with the Stars champion. Happy to tell you about QC Kinetics and their biologic therapies for treating pain without drugs or surgery.
Are you suffering from chronic pain in your hips, knees, shoulder, or lower back? Are you tired of living with arthritis pain? QC Kinetics offers natural pain treatment that can repair and restore damaged tissue in your joints.
Listen, I know pain, and I've seen firsthand how powerful biologic therapies can be. Patients at QC Kinetics rave about their result because they're getting their lives back. They are getting moving again.
These exciting regenerative treatments used to be available only to pro athletes like Emmett. Now they're available to anyone thanks to QC Kinetics. Call today for your free consultation.
Get long-lasting results from my friends at QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics 352-400-4550. In North Central Florida, call 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics 352-400-4550.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration points where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Nike, Regal Cinemas, Lady Macaron, Dave & Buster's, Medici's, Palmetto Moon, and the HBC's restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Now serving brunch on Saturday and Sundays. We'll see y'all at Celebration Point, where the Gators go to celebrate. Really want to thank Brent for joining us on the Titan MR hotline. We got some Facebook Lives here brought to you by Meldon Law. If you missed it last night, Gators lose to Alabama, had the lead at halftime, just got out rebounded. Couldn't shoot, too many turnovers in the second half, doomed the day. Some other news and notes, a lot of Gator football players tweeting about how much the food has changed. They got the parking for football players solidified, little things that Billy Napier's already taken to an account for getting fixed. One player tweeted, "We're eating real chicken." That made me crack up. If you missed it, Texas A&M, who has the top recruiting class, I mean, they got 1 million 5-stars. Supposedly, they spent their NIL/booster spent anywhere between $25 and $30 million on these kids. It's an interesting article. You can find it. I'm not sure where you can find it, but it talks about how the boosters formed little LLCs for each player, if I remember correctly. So anyway, then also word is that Emory Jones is not transferring. He is enrolled in classes right now, going to team meetings, team functions. Trey Dean is returning. We'll see about Kyer Elam. It wouldn't surprise me if we don't see some guys transfer after spring ball. That's not ideal, obviously, but it could happen. So we'll see. But, Billy Napier step by step, stone by stone, is eventually going to get us headed in the right direction. All right. Facebook Live brought to you by Melton Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. John says, Shane, on coaching scared, will Kirby be second-guessing his own decisions due to optics? For example, you mentioned it was a bad decision to fake the punt years ago. Will he be overanalyzing everything he does instead of simply calling the game? I think in the heat of the moment, you just call the game. I know a lot of people out there don't think Kirby Smart's a good football coach. I do. I think he's a really good defensive guy. So I think they learned a lot from the first Alabama game. Basically, don't let them throw it over our heads. If they keep everything in front of them, they probably still win that game. And I think they're going to win Monday night. Joseph asked, how has Mark Stoops not gotten a bigger job yet? It's hard to do what he's done at school like Kentucky. He's done a phenomenal job. Maybe he's comfortable there. I don't know. But he has done a tremendous job. Yeah, DJ Durkin is leaving to head to Texas A&M. So Lane, as I mentioned, has to replace both coordinators. Mary says, I hope Weiss Jr. is better than Senior was for the Gators. Charlie Weiss was with, he was with Lane somewhere else, maybe at FAU. So they have a relationship. Joseph says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melton Law, I'm still in love with the Mike Peterson hire. Upgraded a dog with the Gator. Yeah, Mike Pete, one of the best linebackers to ever play here, quite honestly. He kind of flies under the radar as a player. Played in the NFL for a long, long time, but has been in coaching and the strength training portion and all that stuff. He's a good dude, and he is a great hire. And I believe we're going to hire this is the final week of the NFL. Don't be surprised if Chris Rump is not hired and comes back. I think he's a phenomenal hire as well. Tremendous recruiter and does a great job on the defense, with the defensive line as well. Rick just posted appreciate you posting that. That's the Texas A&M Boosters article about the $25 million they just spent on their recruiting club. I mean, think about that, people. Just think about what I just said. They spent between $25 and $30 million on their 25 kids. Well, I don't even know if it's 25. They may not have signed them all yet. At least 15. I know 15 of them. It's crazy. And that's why I think they have got to do something quickly because it is ruining college sports. Joseph said Rob Sales should be getting announced soon for O-line. I'm not sure where he coaches. I don't know anything about him. I don't follow a whole lot of coaches. I know a lot of you guys do, and I appreciate y'all keeping us up to date on all of the news. At Chris Storing Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Storing Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. How do the Gator fans, my question to y'all is, how do y'all feel about Emory Jones coming back? Obviously, he's had some type of conversation with Billy Napier. Maybe Billy Napier wants competition, lots of competition at the quarterback position. So you got the two kids that were freshmen this year, Kidna and Del Rio. Neither of them have transferred so far. You got Emory, you got Anthony Richardson, and you got Jack Miller, the kid they went and got out of the transfer portal. So that's 5 scholarship quarterbacks. Again, it's hard to get 5 guys work, quality reps. So we'll see how they break it down in the spring for the competition. But I do see somebody leaving, I would think, after spring ball. Just my thoughts. No inside information. John says, explain how these boosters can set up payment accounts for future signings without having illegal coordination with the coaching staff. All the article says, if I remember correctly, Rob Sale coached with Napier at UL. Okay, he's O-line coach for the Giants right now. Okay. I want to say in that article that basically the coaches said, okay, we are going after, we really like player X, we like player Y, and then they put together the packages and the LLCs and stuff for those kids. Coaches have nothing to do with it. They just tell them who they're recruiting, and then they go do it all. Basically, as Jimbo said on some article or some show I saw, this is what's been happening at some schools way back in the day when they used to have the guy with the black bag. But now it's legal. And that's why it is a nightmare, in my opinion. But maybe I'm in the minority there. Maybe everybody else is okay with it, but I totally disagree with it. I mean, why go to class? It's not amateur sports anymore. And I understand people should get paid for jersey sales with their number and name, autograph. I get all that. And if a guy wants to do a car commercial and they give him a truck or car to drive around, the thing about that is if you go in the transfer portal, you ain't driving that car anymore. My question to you is, if they give me $3 million and I spend it all, and then I decide to transfer, what happens? So, yeah, Mary, you're right. Jimbo should know about the black bag. So anyway, Don says he agrees with me. I know a lot of people don't agree with me because there's change. I understand things change, but this is changing for the worse. We might as well do away with college athletics. John says on Facebook Live, Shane, I have heard that Texas A&M has the most money as an alumni base. That will change once Texas and Texas A&M have more money than anybody out there. Those two schools. Different states have different rules on NIL, which you can do. In Texas, you may not. That's true. Every state is different. Rick says the IRS wants their cut. Yeah, they have people that have talked to these kids about taxes and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure some will not pay their taxes. We'll see. But it's a mess. Absolutely mess. All right. I think we just got a text. Yeah, I'll read that one in a minute. So some people agree. Alan says he agrees with me. I don't know what we're going to do. I don't see Florida's boosters paying $20 million to get players to come here. I just think that's crazy. Absolutely crazy. John says, what happens to all that money that A&M spent on recruits and 5 of those transfer next year after not playing? Well, that's what my question is. Especially if you spend it all, right, John? Well, I'm sorry, sir, but I don't have any money to pay you back. Maybe this new school I'm going to will give me the $2 million that y'all just gave me that I spent. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, but it's crazy. If you've got joint pain in your knees, shoulders, hip, or back that won't go away, you need to check out QC Kinetics for long-lasting relief. No surgery, drugs, or downtime. Schedule a free consultation at QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. Call QC Kinetics today, 352-400-4550. Richard says, I agree, Shane. I don't like the way college sports is going. No, it's, that's why I've always loved college athletics, regardless of the sport, because of the loyalty. I was lucky to play 14 years in the National Football League, played for 5 or 6 different teams. Majority of 7 of those 14 were with the Chicago Bears. Do I like the Bears? Yes. Am I a diehard Bear fan? No. If the Bears lose, do I care? No. If the Gators lose, it pisses me off because that's my school. And that's where you come in, you're there 3, 4, 5 years. You don't live with guys anymore, but you used to live all together. You build a bond that you'll have the rest of your life. And all of that is going away in college sports. And these are the things that I think the average fan that likes all of this, why they disagree with me. Because there's no loyalty at all. And I know people talk about coaches. Coaching, there is no loyalty because Nick Saban did not, he's loyal to Alabama, but the damn dude played college ball at Kent State, I believe. You know what I'm saying? You know why Coach Spur is the greatest Gator of all time? Because he played at the school. He loves that institution. That's why he's the damn ambassador. Kirby, same way. Kirby loves the Georgia Bulldogs because he played there. That's loyalty. When coaches bounce around, they you hardly ever see any coach leave a school where he played ball at. It may have happened, I'm sure, if we do research, but that's why Rick says, what? Don't care if the Bears. I don't. I have no loyalty to the Chicago Bears, even though I was 7 of my 14 years. Do I want them to win some games here and there? Yeah, but it's a mess right now. They haven't had any good quarterbacks ever. So yeah, Lauren, you're right. Yeah, it was Kent State. So that's my argument. I'm in the minority. I don't really care. Let's take our second timeout. Come back. Take a few more of your comments and questions. You're watching and listening to Pod Up with Matthews in the morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips, it's gonna be great. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Wrap Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Big Mills Cheesesteaks. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios at South State Bank. We understand that small businesses need a community business partner they can rely on. South State has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. South State Bank, banking for, member FDIC. A couple Facebook Lives before we get out of here, brought to you by Meldon Law, the only personal injury attorney for the Florida Gators. John says, to the crowd that says that players should be able to move because coaches move. When coaches move to a different place, there's a price to be paid. No price is paid when a player leaves. You're exactly right. They have to do buyouts and all that. When a player just decides to leave, all he's doing is giving up his scholarship, opening it up for someone else. There is nothing left. Rick says they want their jersey back. They ain't getting their jersey back, Rick. Joseph says, I'd like to know the ins and outs of the transfer portal. I thought once a kid entered the portal, he was done playing at his current school. However, Copeland and other players still played in our bowl game. You really lose your scholarship as soon as you enter. Can coaches talk to you before you enter the – technically, from what I've understood, they're not supposed to talk to you until you are fully in the portal. The whole Jacob Copeland thing is bizarre to me because he was in the portal and we let him play. Emory was not in the portal, at least at that time. I think he either was going in the portal or just never submitted. So I believe it's tampering if you call some. So basically, that's what they made the big stink about Caleb Williams. Is a couple of people on TV said yes, this was, I think, during their bowl game that people had reached out to him. I think that is illegal and tampering, whereas in NFL, you lose draft picks, you're fined or whatever. So they have to get to some point, where they fix this. Lauren says, anybody know about this food and parking issue? Parking has been a nightmare since I played, Lauren. I can't tell you how much money I paid in parking tickets. I know it was an issue last year's team. The food has not been great. It's already been upgraded, and apparently Billy's taking care of the parking issue for the football team. So that's great. Andy's posting a couple things that I did when I was in Chicago. I like the Bears, people. Don't take it the wrong way. It's just different to me. If you're a superstar and you play for a team for a long time in the National Football League, okay, you're going to be loyal. Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, when you're guys that bounce around and hardly play and play at a million different teams like I did, you love the places, you met great people, good organizations, but I'm more loyal to my college team. That's simple. So anyway, that's it, folks. Hey, I hope y'all enjoyed today's program. Tomorrow, we're hoping to have Chris Doring join us, talk about the Coaches Award that his company is sponsoring, the Steve Spurrier Coaches Award. And we'll get ready for more basketball. Gators lose. I can't remember if we got Auburn or LSU or Tennessee. It ain't an easy run, folks. So anyway, hope you enjoyed today's program. Today's show's a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. See you tomorrow.